I'm going to say this again. My wife is in charge of all of our money. She is a saver. She is a planner. Look, if God forbid something happened to her, I would be totally lost because for a lot of reasons.
Hey y'all, I am Reema Khrais and I'm the host of This is Uncomfortable, which is a podcast from Marketplace about life and how money messes with it. And we are starting a new video series where I ask people some uncomfortable money questions. And our first guest is our very own Kai Ryssdal. Hey, Kai.
Hey, I did not know I was going to be asked uncomfortable questions, but okay.
Are you nervous? I'm like feeling a little nervous on your behalf, to be honest.
Well, because you know what the questions are. So let's see.
Well, okay. We'll see. Okay, get ready. Okay. So, has money ever ruined a relationship for you?
No, but there's a bullet point to that.
Okay.
When we were first dating, the woman who is now my wife somehow saw one of my credit card bills, and it was $3,000.
Okay.
It was like past due. And she looked at it and she said, "What are you, out of your mind? You're paying interest on this? This is terrible. What are you doing with your money?" And as I've said on the air many a time, I do not control the money in my family anymore. She is in charge of all the money. Yeah. So honestly, no, it's never really been a problem. She's in charge.
Did she help you take care of that bill after that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally.
That's funny. So she's like the financial CEO of the family. She will take care of all the bills.
She's just more interested in that stuff. And I'm a lot like my dad. If I had $100 in my pocket, I would blow through it like that. So best not to give me any money.
Wait, do you know what that $3,000 was from? Like, was it just life?
Oh, it was a long time ago. Not even the vaguest idea. But clearly, right? I mean, I'd go out and buy something and not pay the bill every month, and it had just piled up.
Nice. How long had you been dating for?
At that point, about 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. I'm really curious about this question. So have you ever successfully negotiated a pay raise?
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Always let your boss go first, by the way, on the whole pay raise thing.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, what's like the number one tip, like something you would give to your children when they're out in the workforce?
Your boss will inevitably say, when you ask for a raise or you're negotiating a new contract, your boss will inevitably say, "So what do you think it ought to be?" And the only appropriate response is to just be completely quiet or say flat out, "No, you need to go first."
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you put a number on the table, if you put a number on the table, you trap yourself. Right?
Yeah.
So don't do that.
I know. It reminds me of even when I first joined Marketplace, the manager, who's not here anymore, he was like, "How much do you want?" And I was like, "I don't know, how much can you offer?" Which I guess I nervously said that. And he responded, and it was higher than I expected, to be honest.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Do not let your boss put you on the spot.
And like, say they give you a number and you are happy with it, will you walk away and be like, "Let me think about it"?
Actually, if you're happy with it, then ask for more.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Just always ask for more.
Also, you make a really good point. Don't think you have to say yes to the offer in the instant, in that moment, right? That's important.
Great. Okay, so that's wonderful. I'm gonna make sure I keep doing that, because I'm get so nervous whenever I ask for a pay raise. It's like a whole ordeal for me.
Yeah, and look, I don't. Maybe you want to get into this, maybe you don't, but it's a whole gendered thing, right? I mean, it's yeah.
So that's why I love to hear advice from you.
Yeah.
I have to write a script. I have to consult 20 of my friends. I have to rehearse in front of the mirror, and
that's all good. But then when you get in there, stick to your guns.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, great. What was your first job ever?
I was a lifeguard.
Oh, really?
I was like 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you remember? How much you made?
Ooh, not even the vaguest idea. It was
or what you did with that first paycheck.
16 was a long time ago. Well, look, I had to buy my own gas, right? I mean, I was driving my parents' car, so I had to buy my own gas. But going to movies, hanging around, that was about it.
And where'd you grow up? I don't even know.
Briarcliff Manor, New York. It's a little town about half an hour north of New York City.
Yeah. Okay. So you were a lifeguard, and then what was like one of your first real jobs?
Well, the first real job I ever had was in the Navy, right? I mean, I graduated from college and threw everything I owned in the back of my car and drove from Atlanta, where I went to school, down to Pensacola to start boot camp. And so that was my first actual honest to God job.
Your trajectory is so interesting to me, not to digress too much. So you did that and then you went into public radio?
So I was in the Navy for 8 years. I went to flight school, and then I flew airplanes off the USS Theodore Roosevelt, which is an aircraft carrier. Then I did 2.5 years at the Pentagon, and then after 8 years in the Navy, I wanted to keep going overseas, but I didn't want to go to sea anymore to do it on an aircraft carrier with 6,000 of my, at that point, all male friends, right? So I took the Foreign Service exam and joined the State Department for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, I got into public radio.
And then, but not marketplace right away, right?
No, I was a KQED for 2.5 years.
What made you shift into public radio?
Oh man, how long do you have?
I know.
Well, no, that's fine. Look, so I'll give you the short version of the story.
Yeah.
So we were in China, my wife and I, and we were both in the Foreign Service, and we didn't want to do that anymore for a whole lot of reasons. So she got into the MBA program at Stanford, which gives you a clue as to why she's in charge of our money. And I was 34. We were freshly married. We were about to have a baby, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So she sent me down one day, and truly, I mean, I was moping around. I had taken a job at the local Borders bookstore for $7 an hour. I was just trying to, kill some time.
Yeah.
She sent me down one day and she said, listen, you need to get your head out of your ass. And I think you ought to try journalism. And I honestly, I kind of blew her off, right? Because it was a really depressing time, to be honest with you. And very long story, very short, I wound up with an internship at KQED, which is the public radio station up in San Francisco. And I started as an intern, and they taught me how to splice tape and listen for natural sound and all that stuff. And then after a year, they put me on the air. And then a year after that, somebody at Marketplace heard me and said, hey, we've got this job for the host of our overnight show. And I came down, and that was in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
And here we are, 20 years later.
Yeah. That's amazing. So that moment in your life before you made the shift to public radio, was it financially stressful? I know that you were married at the time, and so.
Yeah, it kind of was. And it kind of was because of a confluence of events, right? My wife was a student. I was literally making $7.25 an hour. And we had a brand new baby. And I remember distinctly, we were in a crappy little but completely overpriced apartment in Menlo Park, right near Stanford. And this was the beginning and the near height of the dot-com boom, right? Where prices were going through the roof, and you had people with stock options and all this stuff driving BMWs. And my wife and I, didn't have a whole lot of money. And I remember every time, so my oldest son is now 22, but every time he messed his diapers, I was like, all right, there we go. There's another 25 cents, and a brand new baby goes through a lot of diapers.
A lot of money. I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a little stressful.
Was there, thinking about that time, is there a financial mistake that you made, misstep that you regret?
I'm going to say this again. My wife is in charge of all of our money. She is a saver. She is a planner. Look, if God forbid something happened to her, I would be totally lost, because for a lot of reasons, but that would be one of them.
Nice. What is your biggest money pet peeve? So, for example, I don't know, do you really hate when you're out at dinner with a big group of people and you got to split a bill, or I don't know, like?
Well, it's been so long since that has happened. I've sort of forgotten what that's like. Yeah, I'm kind of a split it down the middle guy. I mean, I guess my biggest money pet peeve is honestly me, right? And I said this a minute ago. If I've got $10 in my pocket, I'm going to blow it, and I just. That probably comes from my mom being very, very mindful of money, and my father being kind of the same way. And I'm like, you know what? If I've got $10, I'm going to blow it on something. That's probably my thing.
I'm like that too. It is interesting how much our parents can influence how obviously how we spend and think about money. because yeah, my parents are very strict with their money too. And I remember when I was like first like financially free for the first time, I was like, oh, I can spend this money. I can spend this $40,000 salary on anything I want. Um,
Yeah.
and I still think I have that impulse sometimes.
And then you learn that desired expenses always expand to fill all available finance, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay. What is the most expensive thing that you've bought that was worth the price tag?
Does a house count?
I think a house counts.
Well, then this house.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been to your house for the holiday Christmas party.
Yeah. So is this when we were in the market for a new house to move, because we had another kid or two and we needed better schools and all that. I saw this house and I basically said to my wife, I want this house. I almost don't care what it costs, which is big because she, of course, is in charge of the money. But it's honestly the best single investment we ever made, right? And as I have said to my kids many a time, and you see me looking up, I'm in a little shed attached to my garage, and I can actually see part of the house from here. I've said to my kids many a time, I'm never moving again, and you are going to have to pry this house out from under my cold, dead body.
Is there something expensive that you bought in your lifetime that was not worth the price tag?
Well, there have been things I bought I probably shouldn't have, right? When I was younger, I had a bit of a car fetish. And so I went through about 4 or 5 cars in about 4 or 5 years. And if I had that money back now, or if I'd done something smart, like invest it, I'd be better off, you know?
Yeah.
But
you were young. What kind of cars?
I was young, a little bit stupid, right? You know, I had disposable income. It was only me I had to worry about.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of money advice, what would it be?
I would say be more careful, be more mindful, you know, and I've tried at various points over the years. And it's really interesting actually, because the less I have cash in my pocket, the less I spend, right? And as we go to digital transactions and not actually having to, you know, take cash out of your wallet, it becomes less of an issue for me somehow. But I guess I would just say be more mindful of what you're spending your money on. And I don't want to be a killjoy, right? But you know, if you can get something for $10 instead of 15, then take that extra $5 and do something smart with it. Right. Yeah. But by the same token, you know, you said this a minute ago, right? Money's a tool. Money's or maybe I said it, I don't know. Money's a tool to get you what you want. And if you want something and you can afford it, you ought to let yourself have it.
Every now and then, yeah, I agree. Yeah. I feel like I haven't bought anything that really makes me happy this last year now that I think about it.
Right.
It's like,
for sure. Yeah. Especially now, I think we all need to give ourselves a break, right? And the trick, right? The challenge is going to be, as this pandemic ends and we get back to something near normal, is going to be reinstalling some of that discipline, because for a year it's been, it's a pandemic, screw it, I can do whatever I want, it's fine, right? Because mental health, because I'm stressed, because I'm alone, because whatever. But pretty soon that's all going to change, we hope. And we're going to have to reimpose some of that self-discipline, which is really, really hard.
Yeah. I hope my mental health gets better.
Yeah.
Great. I think this is great. That wasn't that bad, right?
No, not at all.
Are you feeling nervous? Okay.
Not at all.
Anything else that you want to share about your financial life with the world?
No, I mean, I've said this on the air, right? My wife is in charge of our money, and I'm totally fine with that.
Great. Thanks so much, Guy. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah.